Okay, so let's just continue our discussion. Where we are, we just look at two countries, right? So, and clearly, though, they have different opportunity costs in producing shirt versus a computer, right? So you can see clearly from here. So now let's go to the next slides, understand what this difference means, right? So we say a country has a comparative advantage in producing goods for which it has the lowest opportunity cost. How we understand that? Let's just go back to here. So it's easier to understand, easier to see, right? So based on the definition, meaning the United States has comparative advantage in producing computer. Why? Because in the United States, in order to produce computer, it costs one shirt. But in Mexico, it's going to cost 6 shirts. Oh, by the way, here, there's a big assumption. We assume the quality of the product is the same, whether it's a computer produced in Mexico or a computer produced in United States. So the quality is the same. Now, it's just their technology is different. It's just taking more time for one country compared to the other, right? And on the other hand, Mexico has comparative advantage in producing shirt because one shirt costs 1/6 of computer, but in the United States, it will cost an entire computer to get a shirt. Right? So this is comparative advantage. So I just spared this part. So that's exactly what I just explained to you. Okay, so I leave that for you to read. But in the previous slides, I use a graph to explain to you the idea of comparative advantage. All right, so now we move to the next question. Okay, so how comparative advantage brings us gain in terms of trade, right? Or in other words, so why trade can help us to benefit from each other. Okay? So now here, so I switch the example a little bit, but it doesn't really matter, right? So here, so I switch from US versus Mexico to US versus Brazil. And in terms of products, now we have large jet versus small jet. Okay, but you can easily switch back, but the analysis is going to be entirely the same. Okay. Now, first look at their PPF. In the US, we have a PPF on the left-hand side. So this PPF just tells us, so if US allocate all resources in large jet, they can produce 30, or they can produce 40 small jets. On the other hand, so Brazil, so they can produce 10 versus 30. So that's their production possibility from here. Right? So before trade, so US, they will consume 18 larger jet and 16 small jet. Similarly, Brazil, they want to diversify. So they prefer produce 8, or at the same time means they consume 8 larger jet and 6 small jet. So this is before trade, okay? Or this is without trade with others. Okay. Now, let's see what would happen if they can trade from each other. Okay. But to understand so how they can benefit from each other, we must look at their opportunity cost, right? So in this box, I have calculated the opportunity cost for each country, right? On the first row, so this row, so this is the opportunity cost of small jet. And in the second row, which is the opportunity cost of large jet. Okay, so let me explain to you quickly. So why we come up this number. So in the United States, the small jet cost, what is the cost of small jet? So in order to produce 40 small jets, you give up 30 larger jet. So the cost is 30 divided by 40. So that gives us 3/4 of larger jet as the cost of small jet, right? And similarly, we can calculate the operating cost of small jet in Brazil, so which is 1/3. And on the other hand, so we can calculate the opportunity cost of larger jet in the US versus Brazil. Now, from those numbers, and based on the definition of comparative advantage, we immediately know US has comparative advantage of producing larger jet, and Brazil has comparative advantage producing small jet. Because in the US, larger jet costs only 4/3, but in Brazil, it's going to cost 3 small jets to produce 1 larger jet. And similarly, so Brazil has comparative advantage in producing small jet, right? Because it costs 1/3 of larger jet and 3/4 of larger jet in United States. Okay. Now, how we are going to utilize this comparative advantage? Okay. So here's the deal. Okay. So let's just propose a trade policy. Okay, so now that's the key. Okay, let's say, for example, these two countries, United States on the left hand side and Brazil on the right hand side. So they agree. So we are going to trade with each other. But then, so in terms of trade, then the key thing is the price. And here, so this is going to be the price of larger jet versus small jet, or price of small jet versus larger jet. Right? So let's say, for example, if we say there's a price, 1 larger jet equal to 2 small jet. Now let's see, so whether this is going to make both countries happy or not. Right? Now let's start with the United States. So United States, so if someone told US government says, okay, so you can sell your larger jet at 2 small jet, or alternative, this means so you can buy small jet at 1/2 of larger jet. Okay, so what this means? So let's just focus on United States. This just means US, so they are going to sell larger jet, that's here. They are going to sell larger jet at a higher price, right? Because now they can sell for 2. Look at this equation. Alternatively, or at the same time, US can buy small jet at a lower price, because now, so they can buy small jet at 1/2. Right? So let me write down. So they sell larger jet, they buy small jet. Okay, just look at these 2 rows. Right? And this price is coming from the policy or the deals I just proposed. Okay, and then so I'm trying to explain to you, so this deal or this trade policy will make both US and Brazil happy. All right, now we move to Brazil. So in Brazil, and then what they're going to do is, or what this trade policy is proposing is as follows. So for Brazil, they can sell small jet at which price? They can sell small jet at 2/2, right? So that's coming from here. And then they're going to buy larger jet at 2. Okay. Now, similarly, so Brazil is going to better off because they can sell small jet at a higher price compare they produce domestically. They can buy larger jet at a lower price compared they produce domestically. right? And then, so clearly you can see, so the policy I proposed here, one larger jet equal to two small jet, makes everyone happy, right? But actually, so let me erase these. Let me erase everything. Let's just write one larger jet equal to two small jet. Okay. And then, so reason, or in other words, let me just finish this part. So, or in other words, one small jet equal to one half larger jet. And then, so the reason why, so this makes everybody happy is largely because, so there's a gap in terms of their own opportunity cost. And we put this number inside, right? So here, this is larger, this is small jet in terms of larger jet. Now in the international market, so the price is going to be one half. And then, so larger jet in terms of small jet in the price in the international market is going to be two. Now you can see this one half is going to make Brazilian more willing to what? To produce and to sell small jet, right? And at the same time, this is going to make the United States more willing to buy small jet. Because in the international market, the price is lower than their own price, but this international price is higher than Brazilian's own price. So Brazil is going to make profit and US is going to save money. Okay, and there's other side of the story. So this two is larger than 4/3 and smaller than 3. And then US is going to happy to sell large and Brazil is going to happy to buy large, right? And so for US, so they can make extra profit. For Brazilian, they are going to save extra resource, right? And from this discussion, you should notice there are other price can make these things happen. As long as the price we proposed in the middle can fall into the difference or can fall into these two different opportunity costs, right? Or from here you can see the success of the trade coming from the different opportunity costs. As long as their opportunity cost is different, and then so they must exist a price that make both happy. All right. Now to finish this discussion, based on the explanation I just give to you, so now US will specialize in larger jet, and Brazil is going to specialize in small jet. First of all, let's see, so what is the total production looks like. So now the total production of larger jet will be 30 and small jet will be 30. So compared with the situation of no trade, in the case of no trade, so US produced 18 larger jet and Brazil produced 8. So the total of 26. So 26 is less than 30. Apologize, this is for small jet. All right. Yes, it is for larger jet. And it is, on the other hand, so without trade, so these two countries can produce 22 small jet. Now with trade or with specialization, so the Brazilian is going to produce 30. So 30 is greater than 20. Now how they are going to split the benefit? Okay, so that's a separate question. Now, but regardless, what is going to happen? So they are going to benefit, right? So like here, so this is a price I just mentioned earlier. Okay, so one larger jet trade for two small jet, and the US is going to buy small jet, sell in larger jet, and end up with US consume 20 versus 20. That's more than 18 and 16. On the other hand, so Brazil is going to consume 10, 10. This is more than 8, 6 that they can produce and they can consume power to the trade. All right. So this is the basic idea of comparative advantage and how the comparative advantage allows us to benefit from trading with each other. Right? Now, there's one small thing I want to emphasize in this discussion. And here, as I just mentioned earlier, let's just go back to previous slides to understand this a little bit clear. Look at here, right? So I emphasize as long as the price we propose in the middle satisfy what? Satisfy the condition. So this price is higher than one, but smaller than the other. Is higher than one, but smaller than the other. Or as long as the price we propose lies in the middle of their own opportunity cost, and then so they can both benefit from trade with each other. Now the question is, there are so many prices, right? Like here, so we propose 1/2 and 2, and you can switch to, let's say, some number between these, like significant 2/2 versus 1/2.5, which is 2/5, right? So we can have two pricing system. Okay, so both satisfy the condition I mentioned earlier. But now the question is, so which price will be accepted in the international market? Will it be this one or this one? To understand that, but first look at the difference of this price, or how this price difference means to each country. Okay, let's call this price as A and call this price as B. Okay, let's first look at United States, see which price is better, and then we look at Brazil, see which price is better. Start with United States. Okay, so US will specialize in larger jet. They're going to buy small jet, right? So if we compare price A versus B, under B, the US is going to sell larger jet at a higher price, right? This is a B. Now look at Brazil. For Brazil, under B, so they are going to sell their small jet. This is B, okay? So under B, so the Brazil is going to sell their small jet at a higher price, right? Because in B, the Brazilian, they can sell, oh, apologize. So they're going to sell their small jet at lower price because 2/5 is less than 1/2. And then so clearly you can see from here, under B, US is better. Under B, Brazilian is worse off. Simply because under B, the price of US is specialized goods is more expensive. And under price B, so Brazilians specialized goods will have lower price, right? So B certainly benefit US more than A. And alternatively, you can see, so price A will benefit Brazilian more than US. Why? Because under price A, the small jet will sell higher price compared with price B. And on the other hand, so at price A, the US larger jet will sold at a lower price compared with B. So that means, so A is going to benefit Brazil a little bit more compared with B. Right? So you can see these two numbers, I just made up these two numbers. And you can find many different numbers that's going to fall in between these two numbers. Right? And different number is going to benefit different trading partner in a different way. Now the question is, which price will be accepted, or which price will we finalize? Okay, so again, let's just take a few minutes break, and I will pick up from here.